watching Game Show Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, Gary Moore.
Thank you very much, and welcome to another edition of To Tell the Truth. I have here a fascinating painting. Fascinating for many reasons that will become apparent later. Now, I don't think anybody who is an art connoisseur would class this in the general works of great art, and yet I think you must admit that there is an extraordinary gentleness about it. And I use the word extraordinary for reasons that will become apparent after you have met and heard from our challengers, which comes right after you have met our panel here on To Tell the Truth. Panel, come take a look.
Bill Cullen. Peggy Cash. Orson Dean. And Kitty
Well, artwork aside, the big thing today that Orson Bean is back amongst us in the land of Orson, we have missed you. The staff has missed you. The panel has missed you.
That's the truth.
Above all, the paper airplane industry has missed you. And so our audience, who have also missed you, have organized a tribute today to Orson Bean. Orson Bean!
The most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life. Isn't that glorious? You're much better than mine. That's
Each one
beautiful.
personally autographed, Orson.
Isn't that glorious? Thank you, people. That's very sweet of you.
Who made all
Better than standing out in the rain, I suppose.
Well, now that we have Orson officially ensconced, I guess we'd better get on with the business at hand. Now, to refresh our memories, let's take another look at that painting that we saw just a moment ago. And panel, looking at it, would you have, maybe you can see it there, maybe on the monitor, I'm not sure which.
Oh, it's
But you got any idea of who the artist might have been?
Somebody unlikely.
Well, I'll tell you this, was a famous amateur painter.
Winston Churchill.
A famous house painter.
Adolf Hitler.
Hitler. Yes, they
You
had that.
just said it. That
they
picture
had
was
What?
painted by Adolf
It's
Hitler.
very good.
Very good.
And
Let's
gentle.
stick to that.
Neat.
Which is the amazing thing about it.
What?
Well, all right. It was done by Adolf Hitler. It is a real shocker, of course, to even come close to it. But let's meet the woman who knows all about the artistic side of Adolf Hitler.
Number one, what is your name, please?
My name is Marion McNaughton.
Number two.
My name is Marion McNaughton.
Number three.
My name is Marion McNaughton.
And, of course, only one of them truly is Marion McNaughton, and here is a fascinating story. I, Marion McNaughton, am the curator of art for the Department of the Army's Office of the Chief of Military History. Included in our $5 million art collection are 4 original watercolors by none other than Adolf Hitler. Now, here are prints of 3 of the original paintings in our collection. This sketch, titled Railway Embankment, was done during World War I, while Hitler was a private in the army. And here we see a Munich courtyard scene, and this was painted in the year 1914. And this is another combat or military-related painting and is called Ruins of a Shelled Village. Also in my care is a collection of 15 rare glass negative color reproductions of watercolors attributed to Hitler. As a young man, Adolf Hitler painted approximately 300 pictures. Not more than several dozen of them are known to exist today. His living as an artist was extremely meager, and later as ruler of Germany, although he pretended to be a super art critic, he always chose to conceal his youthful art failures. Just think, had just one of the 2 art academies in Vienna accepted the young Hitler as an art student, the course of modern history might well have been vastly different. Signed, Marion McNaughton. And while the ladies make themselves comfortable, we'll make a buck or two and be right back. Now, the fascinating problem is that all 3 of these ladies claim to be Marion McNaughton, an authority on the paintings of Adolf Hitler. And let's start the questioning with, well, Orson Bean, why not?
Thank you. Number 3, do you consider that he had genuine talent?
No, I don't consider that he did. He had some sort of a flair, but very mediocre.
Number 1, I find that very pleasing to the eye. I suppose it would fall more into the maybe of an illustration than a painting. Do you think he had any talent, number 1?
Oh, actually, I do. I find him that he was highly competent.
Yeah.
Not terribly original, but with great architectural ability, with an eye toward building structure and
Number 2, who
perspective.
was the great architect of Hitler's organization?
Albert Speer.
Right, and have you read Speer's book?
Some of it.
Yeah. Now, number 3, when did he assume the name Hitler? Before or after he did this?
That he was born with that name. It was his father who was Schicklgruber.
Oh, is that right?
He was illegitimate, and
Who, the father?
when his father decided to legitimize him, he was 39 years old.
How do you go? Oh, my Lord. Mercy, just when we're getting into the good stuff, Gary.
Learn something. I had thought that he was originally Schicklgruber, but not so. Says number 3, if indeed she is the right one. And we go to Kitty,
Number
please.
1, where did he try for art school? I think he failed to get into an art school. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Where did he try?
He tried to get into the Vienna Academy of Fine Art, and he was rejected.
And, oh, go ahead.
Well, he tried twice, as a matter of fact, once in 1907 and once in 1908. And the second time that they rejected him, they also felt he had this architectural skill. They suggested that he try for that phase of the academy. He was rejected a 3rd time because he lacked the equivalent of a high school diploma.
Number 2, when he was rejected, did he tell his mother he wasn't going to art school?
I would presume so.
He didn't tell her.
I don't know.
Oh, you don't? Number 3, do you know whether he told his mother?
There's no record of that.
Oh, that's interesting. Number 1, are you sure he didn't tell her?
You seem to have gotten those from everybody. And
Not
we're going
everybody.
No, not everybody? All
Only
right.
you would care, Kitty.
Well, I care about mother.
Was he good to his mother? That's all you care.
Go to Bill Cullen.
Number 1, if I understand, he was refused twice in the Vienna Art Academy. They recommended he try the architectural school, and he was refused there, too.
Yes, on the basis of lacking a high school certificate.
Well, all right, then, number 1, I'll stay with you. When did he resort to... I don't mean resort. That's not a nice way to put it. When did he then become a paper hanger? Because I learned... That is what he did later.
No, that's a misconception
He wasn't-
entirely. He was never a paper hanger. Before he became politically active, he supported himself by standing on street corners, and he painted billboards, and he also painted souvenir postcards. In other words, the type of buildings and structures that you saw in the photographs and in the watercolor that we had here.
Yeah.
He, on a small scale, and he sold those to tourists and was able to support himself meagerly. He was never successful.
Did
And
he
we
tell
go on
his
to
mother
Page
that, I
Casper.
wonder?
Number 3, how did you get a hold of these things?
In the collection center in Wiesbaden, the Army historians acquired them.
Thank you. Number 1, do you think because he was turned down by... who was Oscar Kokoschka? Number 1, Kokoschka.
He's an artist, but I'm not familiar with his
Well,
work.
thank you. Number 3, do you think it's... Well, do you think it's that he outlawed people like Kokoschka and Kandinsky because he was turned down by those places?
Do I think? I'm sorry, I didn't get
That
that.
he like turned, that he became, you know, he threw out a lot of art that was decadent, like Kokoschka, Kandinsky. And do you think he did that because he wasn't allowed? Shut up.
I don't
That
get
he-
it, and I'm sitting next to you.
Oh, well, then I'll go on to other questions. Number 2, what was the Bauhaus?
It was in 1933. It was an art school that many artists went to.
Thank you. Number 1, there are a very famous series of paintings by a Spanish artist, the maid painting things. Do you know who did those?
A famous series?
Spanish artist, very famous series on war.
Guernica.
Thank you. Number 3.
There goes the bell, and that bell does us in as far as questions are concerned. We must mark our ballots. And, of course, we mark them for number 1 or for number 2, or for number 3, and as usual, we pay $50 for a wrong ballot and $500 if nobody comes up with the right answer. And Orson, are you sculpting us an answer there in your inimitable style?
Yeah, I've almost forgotten how to do this sort of thing. Anyway, I voted for number 3, Gary.
Complete with mustache and
Nobody
hair.
remembers him. How quickly they forget. I voted for number 3 because she really looks exactly like she knows what she's talking about, and she could have gone in there and told those fellas, give me them paintings. We didn't find out where the paintings came from.
We just said they were liberated during the war like so much else, you know. Kitty?
Well, I voted for number 2 because number 1 said the Spanish painter was Guernica, and I think it was Goya. And number 3, it could be...
By Picasso.
That's right, but that wasn't the name of the painter. Now, listen, you're going to start with me?
You bet you are.
We got
I
a
voted for
3.
number 2.
Got a 3 showing and a 2, and we're going to go down to Bill.
I voted for number 2 also. She came up with not only the Browse, but the date. And I only hope that the date was right, but it sure sounded right to me, 1933.
A pair of deuces and a 3, and Peggy Cass, what are you going to say?
Well, 1, it was Goya. And number 3, I didn't think she knew who Kokoschka was, so I didn't vote for her. But number 3, they didn't, 2 said it was an art school. They did more than art at the Bauhaus. But anyway, I voted for you, kid.
All right, almost a clean sweep, but not quite. Let's see how it checks out with you at home with the real Marion McNaughton. Please stand up. Hey! Thank you, Marion. Number 1. You were awfully good, but I'm afraid Goya done you in. What is your real name and what do you do?
My name is Joan Oppenheim, and I'm a gal Friday, currently unemployed.
Hey, good luck. Number 3 with 1 wrong vote. What is your real name? What do you do?
Jane Morrison, and I sell cooperative apartments for William A. White and Sons.
Good. Nice to
And I was amazed to learn from these ladies before the show and chatting with them, and not only was Adolf Hitler always Hitler and never Schicklgruber, but that he was not a house painter.
No,
Is this true, number 2?
Sign painter primarily, and they did do many things, more things at Bauhaus than architecture, all kinds.
I can hardly wait to find out. That'll be after the show. And thank you, Marion McNaughton and Imposters, for being with us here on To Tell the Truth. Now, we hear an awful lot today about our overweight society. And do you know where the overweight society starts? It starts with the youngsters. That's where. Today, we have a man who knows how to help teenagers get rid of that excess poundage before they grow up to be fat adults. And we'll meet him right after a few calorie-rich commercials.
Hello.
And now let us meet our weight loss expert.
Number 1, what is your name, please?
My name is Sam Sinclair Baker.
Number 2.
My name is Sam Sinclair Baker.
Number 3.
My name is Sam Sinclair Baker.
And looking here, it's the first time I've ever seen Sam spelled with 2 M's, but that's the way it goes. And here is Sam Sinclair Baker's weighty story. Listen carefully. I, Sam Sinclair Baker, am distressed by the fact that some 50% of teenage boys and some 80% of teenage girls are overweight. So in conjunction with Dr. Irwin Stillman, I have written a book to guide teenagers in a diet plan that will enable them to slim down quickly and painlessly. Too many parents don't concern themselves with the problem of teenage overweight. They feel that nature will get rid of that baby fat. But statistics prove that fat children wind up as fat adults. Today's teenagers must learn better eating habits. They can do so easily and painlessly by following the instructions in my book called The Doctor's Quick Teenage Diet. Signed, Sam Sinclair Baker. And we'll start the questioning with that slim, trim, and all that good stuff, Peggy Cass.
Thank you. Number 3, I, for instance, was a terribly, terribly thin child. So, but then when I got older, I got fatter, then I got thin again. So it's not a pattern, is it? That, I mean, skinny kids can get fat, too.
Certainly.
Well, then, Well, okay, forget that. I don't know. It wasn't very good. Now, number 2, kids like sweets. I mean, teenagers certainly haven't seen me. They're always shoving ice cream sundaes in their mouths. Does your diet have sweets on it?
No, not at all. It's all protein.
Well, isn't that very difficult for a child to follow?
It is, but hopefully their parents are very anxious for them to lose weight.
So they lock up the peanut butter.
Right.
Oh, that's very hard to do. Number 1 is does your diet have a lot of water on it too?
Yes, you have 8-ounce glasses of water a day, but that's only 1/2 a glass of water every hour, which is very easy to take.
You tried it. Let's go to Orson.
Number 2, is fat cultural?
Is it cultural?
Yeah, would you say?
Well, in some countries it's considered cultural.
There are many countries, are there not, where teenagers don't tend to be fat, right?
Well, I think it depends on the individual. It's not necessarily...
It doesn't follow a pattern, huh?
No, not at all.
All right, I'll settle for that. What else you want to tell me, number 2? Number 3, what about complexion problems that teenagers have? Is that due to diet?
Well, I believe so, yes. I think it's proven that if you have a healthy diet, I think your skin condition will clear up.
Yeah.
Certainly in our diet, it works.
Number 1, are there more fat kids in America than in other countries? Or do you agree with number 2 that it all depends on the individual?
No, there are a few more fat kids in the United States because of a higher standard of living generally.
Number 2,
And we come to Kitty Carlisle.
Number 3, what on earth does your diet then differ from Dr. Stillman's ordinary diet for grown-ups? I mean, it's based on protein and a lot of water.
That's right.
What's the difference?
It's written primarily, the book is written for teenagers.
But what's the
and
difference
first
in
thing,
the diet?
Well, the difference is that we allow them up to 18 years of age. We give them 2 glasses of skim milk a day, and from 18 to 21 glass, which is not on
And
our
that's
other
the
diet.
only difference.
Basically, yes.
Well, it doesn't seem to. Number 2, is it not true that fat children come from fat parents?
Sometimes, yes.
Mostly. You see a fat lady on the beach, she calls the kid out of the water. It's always a fat kid.
No.
Generally. They have bad
Not at
eating
my
habits
beaches.
at home. Number 1, how did you meet Dr. Stillman? Are you a doctor, by the way?
No, I'm not a doctor.
Well,
People are
why
always
did you
calling
write the
me
book?
Dr. Baker.
Why did
I
you
met
write the
Dr.
book?
Stillman's daughter at a party, and as soon as she
Don't
heard
tell
that
me she was fat.
No, she was slim because of her father-in-law. But as soon as...
That's going to interrupt you, sir. We're going to go down to Bill.
Number 2, is it not a proven fact that a teenager of, say, a weight of 170 pounds or something, doesn't that teenager require more calories than an adult of the same size and weight?
No, not at all. He requires more calcium, which is another difference in the regular diet and the teenage diet. That's why we give him skim milk.
Well, number 3, isn't there a part of a boy's life, at least it happened to me around 15, where you eat your family out of house and home and nothing happens, you don't get fat, but you eat like twice as much as everybody else?
Well, that's fine. You needed the food, you needed the protein, but you didn't get fat. Our diet is written for the people who are fat, who want to lose weight.
Oh, I got fat all right.
And then when you
And in the last 30 years, I worked at losing it, that's all.
Well, there you go. And we've learned all we're going to learn at the moment, I'm afraid. We're going to have to vote. And we decide whether it's number 1, or number 2, or number 3. And we pay $50 for a wrong guess. We pay $500 if everybody blows the ball game. And Peggy Cass, what have you decided, my dear?
I don't know, because he's young and looks as though he'd like to go out and write a book and make a few bucks. I voted for number 2.
Hey, there you go. We've got a 2 showing. And Orson?
That's a ridiculous reason.
I know,
I
but I
agree.
couldn't think of a better one.
Oh, all right. I voted for number 3 because I like the way you said
That's a
fat.
fat 3.
Fat is a great word. Fat.
Fat. If you say fat right, it sounds fat, right?
Ain't it fat? Ain't you gonna take some of the fat off that corned beef there? I want lean corned beef. I don't want fat corned beef.
We got a 3 fat going there. And let's go to Kitty.
I voted for number 3. I don't think that number 2 is interested in teenagers at all. He's too young. And number 1 said that he met Stillman's daughter and then said daughter-in-law, and I think he got slightly mixed up. But that may be due to nervousness. So I voted for number 3.
Well, we got a pair of 3s and 2 showing Bill Cullen.
May I make a prediction?
Pray do.
I predict that the real person is going to be number 1.
Are you going to vote for him?
No, because I voted for number 2, and number 1 has no votes, and you know what usually happens to us when we do that.
Yeah, and you know it's a Monday, too. And this is some rotten way to start the week, if you're wrong. If you're wrong. But let's find out. Will the real Sam Sinclair Baker please stand up? Orson, you come home, it costs us money right away. We blew $500. And delighted to do so. We'll find out, Mr. Baker, who your imposters are. Number 2 with 2 big votes. What is your real name? What do you do?
My name is Jonathan Burrows, and I'm a producer of legitimate theater.
Good luck. And number 3, sir, with 2 wrong votes. What is your real name? What do you do?
My name is Richard J. Dunn. I live in Rome, Italy, where I'm a freelance salesman.
Mr. Baker, in many homes, parents are constantly shouting at the kids, eat, 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 you know.
Yeah, that's one of the main points in our book, and that's why this book is written for the teenager. There is a chapter at the end to parents warning them not to do that, because that's the main cause of teen overweight. The second cause is not enough exercise along with their eating.
Mm-hmm. And do the girls get fatter because they don't exercise as much? Is that it?
Yes, that's the main reason, plus a certain hormonal reason. But the book is completely different from the other books. Don't believe the misinformation these imposters.
Well, thank you, Mr. Baker, and thank you, imposters. Quite successful here on To Tell the Truth.
Inside the...
A real quick question from Orson Bean. Orson Bean, what time is it?
Oh, I just came in from Australia. Direct flight, 22-hour flight. When we crossed the international date line, the pilot announced that we had left on Monday. He said, it is now Sunday. And my little 4-year-old boy, Max, looked up at me and says, Daddy, is it tomorrow? I said, no, Max, it's yesterday. I didn't explain it anymore.
And you have not had time to rest or really anything from a 22-hour flight?
Who needs rest? You've heard of the jet set? I'm the jet prop set.
Well, we're glad to have you back with us, and we will all be here again tomorrow. Take care, friends.
Transportation and other consideration provided by Chevrolet, featuring the new Vega, the little car that does everything well. With overhead cam engine, front disc brakes, bucket seats, and power ventilation, the new Vega from Chevrolet. Hotel accommodations, courtesy of the luxurious Park Sheraton Hotel, home of the famous Mermaid Room, right in the heart of Manhattan, convenient to everything. Prizes or product mentions were furnished and or paid for by the manufacturers or supplier of the products or services identified on this program. This is Johnny Olson speaking for To Tell the Truth, a Mark Goodson, Bill Totman production.
Don't go away. It's time to meet some of the most interesting people in the world on What's My Line? Next, here on Game Show Network.